Hey, I just want to point out before this report, this information is ongoing and there is a lot to unpack. I will be putting out a much larger, more in-depth analysis of everything that's going on here as quickly as the information can be extrapolated, but there's a lot. So keep in mind, a lot of what we're discussing here is in development and these images just leaked. So just love ya, keep that in mind, thanks. So for about 2 years now, I've been asking the same question.
Where are my VR games?
And throughout those 2 years, we've pretty much had the same answer, somewhere in Bellevue, Washington. This has been going on for a while now, going all the way back to August 2016, pretty much 2.5 years ago, when Greg Coomer, during the 2016 Steam Dev Days introduction ceremony, stated,
"We're not going to treat Dev Days this year as the place or the time to make big product announcements related to the content that we have in development at Valve for virtual reality. I do think that once it comes time to do that next year, that nobody in this room is going to be disappointed about what we have in the works."
Well, 2017 came and went, and it's now 2018, and we're disappointed. Valve and their VR development, unlike something such as Half-Life, is something that we all know is happening, and has been happening longer than any other company. Valve has been interested in the virtual reality space since at least 2012, and we still do not know exactly what they have been working on. We have Steam VR, Steam VR Home, and the lab, but other than that, in terms of games, hardware, anything, there's nothing. And on top of all of this, there has been a lot of information on Valve developing their own proprietary hardware. We know about Knuckles, and that's really going well, and we know about Lighthouse 2.0. Valve is developing a lot of hardware. They're advertising it on the front page of their websites, and we, up until this point, have not known what they're doing. Valve Index is something that we're going to be talking about in a future episode, but that points more towards a console, or a Steambox 2.0. We've always known they're developing something in the VR space, and when they revamped their website back in March, we got a look at this, some kind of monstrosity mounted to the front of Gabe Newell's head. Many people assuming it was a virtual reality headset in-house developed by Valve. And Valve did develop their own in-house headsets, famously taking some phone panels to be able to create their first prototype. And it looks like they're still developing a headset, and they're gonna sell it. Leaked today on the Vive subreddit by a user named TwoFlock. There are a few pictures of what is supposedly Valve's own VR headset. Couple of things to note up front. These pictures were taken on July 25th, 2018, according to the date on the bottom of the monitor in the picture. Second of all of these headsets seem to be in repairs, as one of the images itself actually saying a problem with the headset itself. A few people in Lever Softworks have been unpacking the information in these images, and essentially what we know. First, these are very high resolution images that are usually used to show off PCB details. Second, and what is probably most obvious, is there is an interchangeable component slot on the front of the headset. This is something that lines up with the initial tease that we saw with Gabe Newell, with a massive extra bit hanging off of the headset on his face. Valve's headset might have add-ons, or things you can attach to the front of it for different capabilities. On the front of all of the headsets, we have stickers naming the different firmware and development versions. However, it's kind of difficult to deduce exactly what the stickers are saying. From the looks of things, there is no external audio jack, possibly pointing towards Valve wanting to have complete control over the audio solution. And given the fact that currently a nice pair of external headphones is the best solution for VR, Valve may have something up their sleeve, and those massive cups might be doing something more than just audio. Currently, some friends and I are trying to source all of the components on the board, but currently we do know that this headset is running the ANX 7530, which is a display chip that could run the headset up to 4K by 2K at 60 frames a second. Of course, the VR standard is 90 frames a second, so exactly what this chip is capable of running at that refresh rate remains to be seen. The headsets themselves have markings that list themselves as V002-008, however the PCB is listed as V002-03905. Valve is likely making major revisions very quickly, as there is a rumor going around that Valve currently owns their own manufacturing house now, and they bought out a whole other building. And this is a bit of information I've been working on for a few months, and it's now starting to make a bit of sense. Valve has complete control over the creation of their hardware. They do not need to send away to have any custom PCBs made. They can make those in-house. And obviously, behind the PCB that we see in the images, there has to be quite a few other things going on. And there is a lot more to unpack in terms of the physical hardware baked into this headset. However, there are a couple of things that need to be stated. Somebody is gonna get in huge trouble for this leak. To be completely honest, this is far too elaborate to be a complete hoax. There's like 10 headsets on this table, and these are legitimate parts that you can look up and source, and they're kind of expensive. And there's a lot of them here. I doubt this is fake. So exactly who Tuflock is, if that's the original leaker, or exactly where these images came from, they are a few months old. However, the specificity and the detail that this leak holds very much points to it being legitimate. And if that is the case, Valve is making their own VR headset. And to be completely honest, it's impossible to tell just how far along these headsets truly are, as Valve, in anything they do, want to be able to polish whatever they sign their name to an insane amount of shine. Honestly, I've said this before. A great example is Artifact. If Artifact was being made by literally any other company, it would have been out in March. And the Knuckles. If HTC was making the Knuckles, they would have been out shortly after the dev days that they were shown off. These headsets look really well made. However, the Knuckles looked really well made last year, so we might not be seeing these for a long time. That said, I have received 3 separate reports of people getting tours of Valve's offices over the last few months. And every single time, I hear that the next major announcement is a VR game. And we're going to be hearing about it somewhat soon. So hold your horses. We might be getting some big announcements.